Welcome back to an episode of the Wolves Only podcast powered by JWX. Chris, Donna, what's happening, you guys?
What's up, man?
What's up? How are you?
Oh, good. Better now. We had a little rough time getting this going, but it's good. And it's okay. Whenever we do it on Riverside, it's always like a little like shaky at first, but this is the option that we're given right now because you guys are in Florida, right?
Yeah.
Yep, Tampa.
Okay. But I can tell, right? Like I knew right away when I met you guys, like you're not from Florida. You are from somewhere else.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm from New Jersey. I'm from city Bayonne, right near about 5 minutes outside of Manhattan, right outside of New York City. And
Okay.
And I'm from New York, the boogie down Bronx. I can't hide it. I can't pretend I'm not. As soon as I open my mouth, here we are.
That's awesome. Bronx is the birthplace of hip hop.
sure
Yep.
is.
J-Lo was my neighbor.
What?
She was literally my next door neighbor. We used to go to the same nail salon. And at that point, I didn't know who she was. Now I'm like, wow, I used to rub elbows with her when we did our nails.
That's so
Go
awesome.
figure. I know.
Well, who was I seeing? Someone on social media who owned. Oh, it wasn't. It was on. Owning Manhattan. One of the realtors that works for what's this? The guy who owns that real estate agency. She owned like a massive nail salon in the Bronx, and she said she worked with she knew like everybody in the Bronx, and now she does most of her real estate. Her agency that she runs out off of this brokerage is all in the Bronx. And maybe that was the same woman. Who knows?
It probably was, but I'm telling you, people used to roll in there, and I really didn't know who they were. And now, this many years later, I'm like, wow, I actually sat and had a conversation with that person.
That's cool.
She was like transitioning out of like In Living Color at the time. I mean, she was like a dancer on In Living Color. She was like, she would talk about it all the time. She said, and I was like, that's pretty cool.
That's really cool. Love New York. I got to live in Long Island and work in Amityville for a little bit, and really enjoyed it. I had a good friend of mine who his family owned car dealerships in Amityville. They lived in West Hampton Beach, and yeah, I got to spend quite a bit of time there, and a couple summers actually that I would go back and forth and work with his family, stay in their guest house and stuff, and it was a really good experience. And I'm originally from the East Coast too, and I grew up in New England, so a little bit further east in Portland, Maine, and then moved to Michigan later on in high school. But I love the East Coast. What brought you guys to Florida?
Well, I moved to the Bronx with Donna after we started seeing each other, and then we lived there for a couple of years, and then we moved out west. I mean, we moved to California for a couple of years. So we worked for a company, worked for the same company for a while. So the company changed hands. It got bought by a bigger company. So we didn't really like the new ownership. So I came home one day from work, and it wasn't like her. She was home early. So I got home from work, and she was already home. And I was like, what's up? What are you doing? She's like, none, I quit. I was like, oh, okay. And I mean, this was right into we had just gotten married like a month before. I was like, oh shit, okay, this is cool. So she's like, are you mad? I was like, I'm not mad at all. I just what happened? She's like, I just can't deal with it no more. Like, I don't like where it's going. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, I just didn't know what she wanted to do. And she's like, well, you talk, because I used to back, when I was younger, I used to frequent to California all the time, to Venice Beach for bodybuilding and stuff like that. So she's like, you talk about California so emotionally, like, let's move. I was like, to California? She's like, yeah. I was like, when? She's like, I'm free. Let's move. Let's move now. I was like, oh, okay. So we literally packed our fucking bags and got in the car that night and started driving to California. It was pretty crazy. Yeah. We literally packed a small bag, not even a suitcase. It was literally a bag. And we started driving. Our apartment was there. I had called my boss and said, I need a couple weeks. He's like, what do you mean? I was like, I need a couple weeks. He's like, you're not quitting. I said, no, I just need a couple weeks. Please just give me a couple weeks. He goes, you just got back from your honeymoon. I said, it's okay. I just still need a couple weeks to kind of just get my mind right, you know? He was like, okay, that's fine. So we hopped in the car, drove. It took us 3 days. As soon as we hit water, we literally got out, found an apartment, and packed our shit and moved to California. So we were out there for about 3 years. And when my daughter was born is when we decided, just because the cost at the time and stuff like that, I just wanted more. I wanted a little bit more. So we were going to move inland a little bit more to like Arizona or someplace like that, Vegas, you know, one of those places. And we had family down here. Like my sister-in-law lived down here, and Donna was like, let's visit my sister. We haven't seen her in so long. I said, okay. So we ended up coming down here to visit her. And after the trip, we just looked at each other and we were like, it's pretty freaking cool down there too. So we ended up moving down here. And that was 2004.
Okay, so back up a second. Okay, so you guys worked. What was the industry that you were working in?
I've been in fitness my whole life. So I worked for a company on Long Island, actually. It was a fitness company. So we used to design and outfit, you know, residential, commercial facilities, stuff like that. And she basically ran the entire office in Stamford in Connecticut. So we met through that. That's how we even met.
It's always interesting. And it's funny because a lot of times people meet in the workplace, right? And like traditionally it's like a conflict of interest. You're not supposed to like, you know, date inside the workplace. A lot of times it does go completely wrong, but it's like as adults, it's like, where the fuck else are you supposed to meet someone if you're a career-oriented person, right? And now I think that a lot of industries, and you know, for like, you know, we're in the auto, like I was in the auto industry my entire life, and it was like how many people met, you know, at the dealership or whatever, you know, the stores that they were at, got married there. We have one of our stores that's ran finance director and general manager are husband and wife, and run the whole entire operation. Is it ideal? I mean, it works out okay for this situation, but I guess the point is, it's interesting because you guys have pretty much like now pursued every venture together, right? Since then. So you met in the workplace, that worked out. That's okay. That's really interesting. And you know, you meet some couples and it's like, I need my wife to like go to work and I need to do my thing, right? It's incredible to see, you know, a couple that's like, oh no, well we cohabitate, we partner in business, and it works out really well for us. And I find that fascinating, guys. How and you obviously you have a business outside of the fitness industry too. It can't always be rainbows and blowjobs, right? I mean, like there's got to be some headaches there.
There's definitely stress. So we've been married 23 years. We have 2 kids. Oh, wow. So like we have the home life stress and we have the business stress. But honestly, at the end of the day, I can say after 23 years, we've never had
25.
Well, married 23. We've never had that massive blowout fight yet. Like get out of the house, we're leaving each other. Like that hasn't happened.
Not even close.
So
yeah, I mean, you know, I've only been married for a year, so I admire that. 23 years is a long time. The massive blowout fights, I don't think that's like that determines the success of, you know, people. Couples have arguments, couples have fights, but I do think that it is like a lot of couples could probably learn from like how to deal with each other, especially when you are, and I think a lot of couples too are learning to like start small businesses together, you know, and do cool things together so that they can learn a lot from you.
You know, it's funny, when I started, I really never trained before, right? So for me, he's done it all his whole life since he's a teenager. So I would say probably it was around 1999, 2000, he was trying to get me into the gym. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. And like, I would go a little bit and then stop going. And then finally he said, I want to compete again, but I want you to compete with me. And I said, I can't even stick to the gym, let alone go and compete with you. So we started training together and we made it our priority. So we were training every day. We were doing our cardio together, training together, prepping together.
Well, that was 2014.
Yeah, but I'm saying like when we started like going. So then we finally decided, it was what, 13? I said,
13,
if
yeah.
I can really commit and stick to my diet, stick to my training, then I'll compete with you. So we did that for a year, and everybody in the gym, like, it was like taboo for a girl and a guy to train together. Like, they would snarl at us and look and like, what are you doing? Go to him and say, why are you training with your wife? Like, come train with us, let her train by herself. And he's like, no. Do you know, after a year of us doing it consistently, couples started training together in the gym and actually came up to us and said, you motivated us to actually train together and work out together and be together more and be present. So that was like our first, like, okay, maybe we can show people like how to be successful, like how to have a successful relationship, and how at the end of the day, no matter what happened, still you kiss each other goodnight and you wake up in the morning and now you start over, but you're together as a team.
Interesting. I love that. And you know, you hear it too. Couples that train together, you know, thrive together. And I think there's a big part of that when you live a healthy lifestyle. Um, and we talk about this all the time in the fitness industry. It's like, you know, you have you healthy body, like your body is your business card. You have a healthy body, you have a healthy mindset. You know, the rest of your life tends to work out. But what better example than just the relationship with your significant other? You know, I see fat couples and they're miserable. You know,
Yeah.
one time I'll tell you the story. We were so 2 or 3 years ago, when I first like hit it big with online coaching, I took Lizzie, to my wife, to Loom, and we just like pretty much like went one way ticket down there. And I was like, I'm going to work down here as long as we can, and as long as I'm making money and down here, we'll stay. You know what I mean? We'll stay. You know, the bills are
Yeah.
paid back in California at our home, but we'll just stay and see how long we can make it. We ended up. The only reason, actually, I probably still would have been down there, but I had to get back for the Arnold Classic because we had a setup there. Um, but anyways, we were sitting. We met this driver, and his name was Danielle. Daniel, you know, and he was the coolest guy. He didn't speak any English, but he loved us. So like down in Tulum, everybody works for the cartel. Okay, like the cartel, it's one cartel. That's why it's really safe down there, right? Because when there's multiple cartels, then it's chaos, right? One cartel, it's very safe. So all the cab drivers work for the cartel, and we met this one. His name was Daniel. Okay. And we really took to him, even though he didn't speak English. We would take him to dinner, like when he would drive us around the cities, take us to the Bufadora, all the different things. Okay. Well, over time, he started really opening up to us. And one day we were driving, and he said to Lizzie in Spanish, because my wife speaks Spanish fluently, and was like, I love driving you guys. And we were like, huh? And she told me, she's like translating this back to me. And then he goes, I'm with all these other couples, and they always fight, and you guys don't fight. And Lizzie tells me this, and my instant response was, well, yeah, that's because we don't drink. And Danielle, like the way his eyes lit up, like it was like, that's the common denominator. Like literally, like his eyes, like it was like he like discovered electricity, right? Right. And it was like, whoa, that like that's it. But it's like funny to me where it's like you meet other couples that are fucking miserable. They're miserable. And you find couples like you guys who've never been married for 23 years, no devastating. I mean, I would imagine if you've had a devastating blowout, it would come out in this podcast because I'd get it out of you. But like to be able to say like, yeah, no, really, we train together, we cohabitate, we work together, we do everything together. And it's like, well, where does it actually start? Probably with your positive habits.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I mean, we actually dieted for a show together. That was her first show and my last to date. But yeah, we dieted and prepped for a show together. I mean, it was not easy by any means. I mean, it was tough, but it was cool being able to see each other. Over the course of 25 years, I mean, we're not the same people 25 years ago. We're not the same people 5 years ago. So we've evolved. We've let ourselves evolve many times. So to actually hit that part in our relationship where, okay, I'm going to see what the fuck you're made of, and you're going to see what the hell I'm made of now because I talked about it a lot. So we pushed each other really hard. I mean, really hard to the point where you would leave the gym sometimes and didn't talk on the way home. But by the time you got home, it was fine. Like you knew what the reason was, and you knew, okay, you're pushing me to be better at what I want to do, and I'm pushing you to be better at what you asked me to help you with. So when it's all said and done, you don't go to bed angry. I mean, we've never went to bed angry ever in 25 years. We've always fixed whatever the issue might have been before that. But yeah, man, we pushed each other hard. For that whole thing, and it was pretty wild.
Yeah. I love that. And we'll get into like your coaching and stuff like that in a little bit here, because I think that's going to be a very profound, representation of what you guys can do for individuals and couples alike. Like that's huge. It's crazy. It's crazy that you left California, but I can imagine.
It is, man. No, it is. It was tough to leave. It was when we got there, to me, it was a dream come true because I went out there a lot. I even had and I'm going to be 50, so it doesn't matter about dating myself, but I used to have 2 VCRs in my house, one with California time and one with Eastern time. I mean, my whole thing was I needed to be there, I needed to live there. And it never really happened in my competing days when I was younger. I ended up getting an injury and things changed. But I've always wanted to be back there. So she knew that immediately. So her first thing was, and I actually I did a few films. I did a bunch of films as well. So a bunch of people that I had done the films with all moved out there and start their film career. So she's like, listen, you've talked about it so much, let's just go. So my decision was almost 5 seconds. I mean, I thought about it for a second, but I was like, if she's behind this and she's ready to go, we can't fail. I mean, there's nothing we're going to fail at that point because we have each other to kind of work off of. So we picked up and went out there, but leaving there was really hard. It was really, really hard because I loved it there. I didn't want to leave. Yeah, neither did she. Yeah.
But Florida's fantastic. Tampa's a beautiful city too, and it's like growing like crazy constantly.
Yeah.
I love that. And you have 1 kid?
2.
How old?
Our daughter's 21 and a son is 17. And my son competed last year for his first time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And he put on about 20 pounds in the past year. It's crazy.
Oh. He lives with you guys at home?
Both of them. Yeah, both of them do.
Oh, they both do. Cool.
Yeah.
I don't think they're ever leaving either. They haven't too good.
That's funny. I honestly have thoughts about that. It's like, I moved out when I was 17.
Same.
And, and it was like, that was normal. But nowadays, I mean, honestly, like, I think ideally, like if my son was like, you know what, I'm going to stack cash. I'm going to start my own businesses, right? And I want to just stay home. I would not pressure him to leave. I want him to like be able to have all the resources that he needs to make himself self-sustainable. Again, like I changed my opinion on college. I went to college, grad school, everything else. And I'm like, I don't use any of that to this day. Like literally I have it just to say that I have it because it does not do me any benefit. And I think, letting your kids stay home and like giving them a great life, into their early 20s is okay. That's okay. Yeah. It's like the problem is they get this. It's like you go get an apartment, right? You go to college and then you have a rude awakening out of college that like, it's not what you think it is when you get out, and it's like now you're in the workplace and like the workplace fucking sucks and you got to get an apartment and then you gotta, you know what I mean? And then you have to, you meet someone and that probably doesn't work out the first time. And then you're let down with that and you start to get jaded. Yeah. And then next thing you know, you start settling. And then before you know it, you're mediocre and shot out. And it's like, It could have all started a little bit differently.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we did with our daughter. When she graduated high school, she was stressing out. What am I going to do? All my friends are going to college. And we said, you can do whatever you want. Whatever you want to do, we support you 150%. However, if you pick a college that you go away to, whatever you pick for your career, that's what you need to focus on. You're not going to party, you're going to do the work, or else you're going to be paying a lot of money back for your schooling. And she waited about a month, came back to us and said, I thought about it and I actually want to go to cosmetology school and do hair. That she's a people person. She loves people. And we're like, that's great. We support you 150%. Let's go. So we got her hooked up with the best school, put her through school. She finished in a year, was the top student in her school, like in her class for that time frame. Started a job downtown in South Tampa, which is a super high-end area for Tampa. While she was going to school, they took her on when she graduated. She's been there since, and she loves it. Absolutely loves it. And it's her, that's her career. Like if you see her, you know she's a hairstylist. But loves it. And
I mean, she kills it. She has people just reaching out from Chicago and Detroit and New York right on Instagram and saying, oh, so-and-so referred me to you. I'm going to be in Tampa. Can I make an appointment? I'm like, that's freaking awesome. I mean, that's so amazing already, you know?
Yeah. And she
100%.
And she like now her friends are finishing school and still have no idea what they're doing. And now she's already 2 years into her career and loving life. And again, all her friends' parents were pushing, go to college. We said, you can do what you want as long as you're happy. We support you 150%. And this is where she is. So I know we made the right decision going that route with her. And we're doing the same thing with our son. Whatever he wants to do, we're going to support him 150%. It doesn't matter.
I love that. I think so many kids like their talent never ends up showing because they weren't given the opportunity, or their parents or their surroundings, right? They suppressed them, suppressed their dreams, like told them there was one way, you know. We deal with this a lot in what we do with coaching, right? With coaches, where like parents or significant others will tell, like, you know, get a real job, go do, you know, get a blue collar factory job or go to college and get a job, you know. And it's like you set a ceiling over top of what you're capable of, right? If you're gonna support someone to go into cosmetology school, like don't just do that. Become the best at it. Build your brand. Become the best color specialist, or you know, the best at, you know, blowouts. Open up your blowout bar. Then start. This is how things work nowadays, right? First, you get paid for what you do, okay? And this is really important for somebody who's a cosmetologist, or in any field, really, any service industry, because what it is you get paid for what you do, right? Then you get paid for what you know, right? And then before you know it, you get paid for who you are. And that's the steps.
That's
right there. So you know what I mean? And that works in every industry. And none more than cosmetology. I mean, look at guys like Paul Mitchell and and you know, and there's so many out there now, where it's like, you know, you become the cosmetologist for like the influencers and the celebrities, and people travel out to find you and see you and work with you, right? And then the next thing you know, you're now teaching how to do certain color techniques and whatever, you know what I mean? And you own a specialty school for that, and you blow up. And then before you know it, now you're getting featured to speak at these events and to show people how to start their schools. You know what I mean? And that's the course of success now.
He'll be back in a second. There he is.
So that's the course of success nowadays.
Yeah. Absolutely.
What you do, what you know, who you are.
That's awesome. See, when my dad was always my dad worked for General Motors for 35, almost 40 years on assembly line. He never got one promotion. He just worked the assembly line for 40 fucking years. I mean, it was bad. But he also did side stuff. Like he would also come home, and I would always walk in the front door, and there'd be 5 people standing in my kitchen, and he'd be fixing their TVs, or he would, he took all different little courses. So he did all different kinds of crazy things. Not crazy, but he did all sorts of different things that were out of the norm at the time. So he would always have side projects going, like electronic stuff. He was brilliant in that type of stuff. So one summer, I was fucking up, and he's like, I'm gonna get you in for the summer program at General Motors. And I was like, okay. He's like, they pay X amount an hour, and I'll get you a ride there, and you work on the assembly line, and you'll be good. You'll have a whole career in front of you. I was like, oh, okay, that's easy. I lasted, I think I lasted 6 days. I went the first week, and then I went that Monday, and I left. And I waited outside for my ride. They drove me home. So I thought he was going to be super pissed at me. And I get home. He calls me, tells me to come over. I go to his house, and he says, so you quit today, yeah? I said, yeah. I said, I don't know how you did it. I don't know how you did it. I have no idea how you did that. It was so repetitive. I had to do one thing, one task over and over and over and over again through the course of the day until I had a lunch break, went back and did it again until I left. And he said, I put you there because I know I wanted you to see what not to do. He goes, I had you work here to see if you would have accepted this as your life, or if you would have said to me, there's no effing way I'm doing this. And I said, there's no effing way I would ever want to do that. No way in hell I would ever want to do that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So I learned real quick.
That resonates with me. So my grandpa was a forklift driver for General Motors his entire life, retired from being hourly. I'm from Michigan. I grew up on the East Coast, but I was born in Michigan, so my whole family's from Michigan. So they worked at the 36th Street plant in Grand Rapids, Michigan, literally like from the day he graduated high school till 10 years before he died. Right.
Wow.
And my grandma too. She worked. Like the two of them were divorced and worked in the same plant. So they were stuck together by GM. My dad started selling Chevrolets when he was a kid, and completely, he didn't have a relationship like that with his dad. He wanted just nothing to do with like being that level of mediocre, right? Like his vision was but he was a terrible car salesman. He was like the worst car salesman you've ever seen, right? Fast forward 30 years. Let's see. Yeah, well, it would have been about 35 years. He's are you guys still with me?
Yeah.
Okay. He's the largest Buick GMC Hummer dealer in the world.
Wow.
And didn't want anything to do with that. Never went to college. Was pretty good in high school, but never went to college. Just literally learned how to hustle cars, and was taken out of. He started selling cars when he was 17. And he was taken out of off the showroom floor and put into finance when he was like 20. Owned his first store at 23.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Isn't that wild?
That is amazing.
I love that.
But that was what my life was set up to be. So my dad was like, but he was always cool. Like, when I wanted to play music and tour in bands and do stuff like that, he was always like, yeah, do your thing. Go have fun. Be a kid. He's like, I'm not going to like your music because it sucks. I was punk rock and hardcore. He was like, I don't understand it, but do your thing, And then it was like, okay, I wanted to start pursuing automotive. So I went to college for automotive retail. Right. And that was, it. When I got out of college, he was like, well, I'm not going to hire you. You need to work your way up at a store by yourself. So I started at a store in Detroit, worked my way up to a finance position in Detroit. And then I was like, all right, I want to come home and work for your company. And he was like, all right, well, you got to start over, start selling cars. So I go back to selling cars, and then I, became a good car salesman for under his program. And I wanted to be a sales manager. Nope, you need to do finance first. I'm like, fuck, okay, so now I got to be in the box, stuck in the finance box. You know what I mean? And then, but the funny thing is that like, so I had a massive career in the auto industry, worked my way all the way up to running my own stores and stuff. And then when I moved out here and walked away from the auto industry entirely, it was like all support, do your thing, do your thing.
I love that.
He's like, I'm not funding your thing. Figure it out. You know what I mean? And next thing you know, now the two of us communicate as if one of his peers. You know,
That's cool.
and it's like, it's my dad, but it's like, two multimillionaires talking now. And
I love it.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like, you
awesome.
know what I mean? It was like never before. I always thought I would just work for him, be in his shadow. In Michigan, I'm Todd Wenzel's son. In California, I'm just Justin.
That's
You know,
cool.
but
That's
it's
a
all
lot.
about
Yeah.
finding your path, and I think that's what you guys have the power to do, is to let your kids find their path and be the greatest versions of themselves. But they have two parents that push each other to become the greatest versions of themselves. Any other couple with kids should admire what you're doing.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you. That's we try to, and it's not even, we're not portraying it. This is the true us. We don't, like, when we talk to people, whether if I'm in a business meeting or if I'm in just a setting at dinner with friends, we are true to who we are, and we're true to ourselves and to each other. And so that portrays, I think, to everybody else when we're around them. So I almost feel like we do have an energy that we portray to people, like, of, okay, we want to be around them. We want to see what else they are doing, where they're going. We never we never stay down. If we fall, we've done a ton of businesses since we've been married. If we fail, we start over and we get back up, and we make sure that we just keep moving forward. So we don't let that fall determine who we are or create the path that we're heading on. We know where we're heading. And even beyond that, we know when we get to that point, we're not done. We're never satisfied of where we are. We're always going to that next level.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, we like in 2008, 2009 was a rough year for a lot of people, but
For
for us,
everybody,
it
right?
was yeah, for us it was really really bad, like bad bad. But we said if we could just get to here, we'll really be okay. And then you're almost there, and you're like, no man, I need to get there. And then when you're almost there, you're like, no, that's no, I want better than that. You know what I mean? So it's, and I don't know if everybody's like, I mean, everybody has that in them. It's just everybody's afraid to keep going that added step. My
Right.
sister had said to me once too. She said, "When is, I'm proud of you guys. I'm so proud of you guys." She goes, "But when is enough? Like when are you sad? When you feel like you're going to have enough?" And you're
Mhm.
just, and I said, I don't think like that. I don't, and it's not material by any means. I just don't. I don't. Once we settle, once we feel like, even days like if we like we're going to take today and do nothing, that goes about 3 minutes, and we start talking about like you guys, or we start talking about like something else, or we start saying, okay, well, how can we do this different? So it never works out that way. It's just how we're built, you
Right.
know.
And it really is. It's and it could be like literally like, it's like, I can't believe we're from the same parents. You know what I mean? Like, but and it's like, some of us maybe are just like, maybe we're too dumb to just settle and say like, oh, I'm comfortable here, right? Maybe the smart thing is to like get cozy, comfortable, and whatever, and that's okay. But it's like the dumb ones, the ones who like never learn their lesson, and they just keep trying and trying new things and things like that, end up owning Amazon. and, and,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and you know what I mean? It's like there's never been a safe, conservative mindset person that's ever really like done anything great. I mean, I can't name a single one.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I mean, just keep taking that next step or the next chance. And for us, a lot of things now is becoming like this. So we're like, what if it doesn't work? It doesn't matter if it doesn't work, because we'll get something out of it and move on. That's all. So there's never
Right.
that fear anymore of there used to be that fear, but that fear now is not even there really anymore. It's just, you have a quick thought of it, but then it's gone. And we're both like that. I mean, we both look at each other
Yeah.
sometimes. With anything, we'll both look at each other and say, "Okay, let's do it."
Right. Let's do it. What if it works? What if it doesn't? Neither of those things fucking matter. Neither
Doesn't
of them
matter.
do. If you replace what if with right now, then your life will actually turn into something really fantastic, right? Or it won't, and you'll have to start back over. But if you continuously do it like that, eventually you're gonna grab hold of something. You know, it's what if it doesn't work? Okay, well, that doesn't fucking matter. That's just gonna make sure that you stay scared. Okay, what if it does work? Well, what difference does it make if you don't try it right now?
Mm-hmm.
Get rid of the what ifs. The what ifs don't matter. It's how about I just start to do things right now? Not later on, not when things are perfect, not when things are when things settle down, when the dust settles, not when I get back from vacation, not when the kids go back to school. Right now, I'm just going to start doing it right now.
Yep.
There's a guy. He's a big dealer in Michigan as well. His name's Chris Baker. I really like him. Really cool guy. Very, very successful. 20, 30 stores in the Midwest.
Cool.
He's a good friend of mine, and his entire branding is right now. And to the point where like that's how he advertises to his customers. Like you're buying right now. And that's like imagine that. Imagine like going to a store and it's like I know what they're going to tell me. They're going to tell me I need to sign the paperwork right now, right? And it works for him.
Yeah.
Because he's backed it with so much energy and with so much success. He's ripped. He's sober. He's been sober for 30 plus years. Okay. He's a really energetic guy. He's got a great personal brand about him. Every time I talk to him, I'm like, when are you going to let me work on your personal brand? He's like, I know, I need to do it. I'm like, he's like, I just want to commit to all that. I got 20 some stores that I run. But anyways, it's like, imagine when you put that energy behind everything that you do, that right now attitude that just like Chris, where he tells the masses on billboards, literally right now, it's so in your face.
Stuff.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
But replacing everything with right now, do it now, right now.
I like that.
And that's how I am. You guys know this. I don't keep a calendar. I just do everything right now.
I love that.
I don't.
We love that.
I don't like keeping a calendar because I don't like to wait to do things. I can't even wait until my wife's birthday to give her a gift.
I love it.
If I buy it, it's not going to see wrapping paper unless they wrap it at the goddamn store.
You do what I do. I buy it and then I'm like, hey, I got your birthday present. Do you want to know what it is? Do you want it yet?
It could be, my birthday's in December. She'll do that like September. I'm like, you have 3 months.
I can't hold on to it either.
No, I know. I want to do it right now. I don't want to wait. Why would I want to wait why would I want to wait to see the result?
Mm-hmm.
Right? If it's a birthday gift, like to see you smile, to see you like, I don't want to wait to make your day. Like, I don't want to wait to make my day. I don't want, it's like, and people will say it's lack of patience. No.
The true from the lack of patience. It's you want everything right now, so you experience everything that you think of in your brain. Like never to say, oh, I'm going to wait till later. And then later never comes. And then down the road, you're like, shoot, I never got to do this because I said I'm waiting for later.
People confuse patience with procrastination.
Yep.
That's strong.
It is.
So I can tell you in 2008, that was probably one of our roughest times. Like,
it was the roughest.
We hit rock bottom. Like, no, I'm sure other people have hit as bad, but we felt like it was like the end of the world for us. Like, our kids were still young. My mom had just passed away. So that was super, that was super hard to deal with. And just in life, like I was super close to my mom. So I was running a successful property. I was the GM there, had a really good job. He was still doing fitness stuff. The kids were young, like I said. So I was like, when she passed, I literally just went into this shutdown mode. I couldn't work. I couldn't be at home. I wasn't here. I wasn't present. I was somewhere else for a long time. So a couple of months went by and I'm like, I need to do something else. I can't go back to work. I can't be here. Like I need to do something. Like I need to get out of this body and figure out what I'm doing. So again, went to Chris and I said, hey, I have an idea. Why don't we open a restaurant? And he looked at me and he said, okay, where is this coming from? I said, I don't know. I just have this feeling, but I need to get out of what I'm doing and figure something else out. And this is what I want to try to do. So we, again, went in all hands on deck. Like we didn't stop. We went 150 miles an hour. It obviously.
We took over, or we ended up taking over a restaurant. We were first looking for ones of our own. And then we took over one. Go ahead.
Yeah. So yeah, we took over the restaurant, and it was in the beginning. I was excited about it because it was new, and I was learning new things, and I was like, okay, this is going to be fun. And then we realized really quickly that restaurants are not a family business. That's more if you're single, because the after hours and the before hours, all they do is party, and that's not us. I had a husband at home. I had the kids at home. He actually, our roles reversed, and he actually became the stay-at-home mom, and I was working the restaurant, and I was out the door at 7 a.m., and I was getting home at 3 or 4 a.m., so I was never home. So when I tell you we hit rock bottom, we literally had that come to Jesus talk, like we need to do something else. We have to get rid of this restaurant, or we're going to end up losing our family, our house, everything. We were going into bankruptcy. We were getting foreclosed on our house. Like literally, we couldn't pay the bills. Our income versus what the expenses were for the restaurant were through the roof. And then
we owed the bank money in overdraft fees. Like we weren't even at zero. Our bank accounts were like negative. So like I was like, I wasn't at zero. You know what I mean? Like it was below zero. So you were like, I can't even. If I paid a couple $1,000s, I would get to zero.
Yeah. We asked people for help. Everybody turned their backs on us. The people who we thought were best friends and family turned their back on us. And we were like, okay, we don't have it. Go ahead.
So there was one time I was sitting on the top of the stairs. I heard rustling on our door. I looked. We have like the clear panels on the door. So I heard rustling on the door, and I looked, and I seen I think it was orange. I seen somebody put an orange label on the door, and my heart literally dropped into my stomach because I thought it was my foreclosure thing. I thought that was it. I thought we lost our house because we were so in debt with it. So I thought it was finally time that they were saying you got to get out, and they put this yellow thing on the door, orange thing on the door. And I remember sitting on the top of the stairs, and I didn't call her or anything yet, and my heart had dropped. It literally dropped into my stomach, and I was like, how did we get here? How did this happen when everything was going so well? So I managed to walk down the stairs without my legs buckling. I opened up the door, and it was a flyer for a new fucking lawn company. So I grabbed the flyer, crumbled it up. I got on the phone, and I called my best. So that would normally have been rock bottom, but I called my best friend at the time. And I said, hey man, listen, I need to, and we didn't do this. I was like, I need to borrow a couple bucks, man. I've never done it in my life, and it was hard for me to do. And he said, no. And that to me was rock bottom. I knew that was it. I knew it was just me and her. We were in it alone. So when he said no to me, it made me go lower than the feeling I had when they put that note in the door. So go ahead.
No, so that was rock bottom. So then we again got together and we said, okay, we need to come up with a game plan. And we said, we will never, when we get out of this hole, we will never be in this hole again. Ever.
Not even close.
And that was our promise to each other. And that was, again, back in 2008. So from that point, we just literally just built. And again, we did things that didn't work, and we had to shut them. And then we started again with something else, and we just kept getting up. And we said, we will never be at the bottom again, and we will never be fearful. Are we going to lose our house? Are we going to lose our cars? Are we got to take our kids and go live in a box somewhere? Like literally, that's where we were. And and honestly, I can say that was our moment, probably the come to Jesus of, we need to now worry about us and not everybody else. And that's kind of where we started this, like it's us against the world basically. And that's how we became, I believe, that how powerful we are right now with each other and like what we're doing in
Yeah, we
the
fought
world.
hard. We fought hard to get out of that. We didn't. We always communicated. We always talked, but we didn't. We weren't intimate a lot during those times. It was just there was so much going. You didn't sleep for days and weeks at a time because you just didn't know what you were going to do.
Right.
You know, so and I always say it as like if you jump in a deep end of a pool and you don't literally touch the bottom to kick off, you're treading water and it's going to take you longer to come back up. So we needed to hit very bottom to actually springboard ourselves back up, I feel like. So I thought I hit it with the letter on the door. The fucking lawn company screwed me on that one. And then I went below that and then I hit the bottom and I called her and I said, we're not, this is not us. What are we doing right now?
I love that. And you know, it is, listen, if you're not facing things like that, you're really not trying to do anything. Right. And exactly what you said, you know, it's like, I believe that rock bottom is one of the most beautiful, intimate places there is.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most people, they never experience that, you know. In the recovery world, we call God the gift of desperation, right? When you find God. And I think a lot of people, you know, they don't realize what that gift of desperation means. Being so low to that, like, you don't know how high you can go until you know how low you can go. And that's,
Yeah.
you know, and it's funny to me because there's people who've accumulated a lot of success without seeing how bad it can get. But you'd have to imagine, like, dude, if you've actually been through some shit, if you've actually seen that, like, where could you be now? You know what I mean? The risk, you know, if you're, listen, first of all, if you're not concerned that you're going to lose everything every now and then, you're not doing anything. You're not trying that hard. That's
Right.
for sure.
We still have that mentality. Yeah, we still think of that.
Yeah.
We say, how far does that gap need to get? And we say to each other, it's not big enough yet. It's not big enough yet.
Yep.
You know?
I consistently like to make decisions that put my back up against a wall. You know, people think I'm crazy, but I just, to me, it's like, if you're not hungry, if you don't have that sort of like that feeling of like, you know, it's do or die, you get comfortable, you start relaxing. And then honestly, it's the same as just your lifespan in general. That death is certain no matter what, but it's just a slower, more painful death than if you're just like do or die. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Figure it out. Figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, I agree.
One of you guys said it. I forgot. I don't know if it was you or Scotty or JT. One of you said, and you quoted somebody. I forgot who it was even too. But every day is day one.
It's Jeff Bezos.
I don't know who said that. Every day is day one. Yeah. So we actually, that day that happened to us, that was day one, and we still use that to this day. Just from that, I didn't know somebody else said it. Like, we would always say, like, today we're like, where do we need to go from here? Tomorrow morning, where do we need to go from here? And that's how it's been. And that's with us. That's with us. That's with our business. That's with our family. That's with our friends. That's with anything in our life. Like, it has to be treated like that. And from that day, that's where it all began.
Living one day at a time is really your best option. I mean, to be honest, it's really your only option.
Yeah.
Right. But people want a future trip, you know, think about the past, so on and so forth. But really, just living that one day at a time is really all you get. You get 24 hours and you do what you can with it. And then the next day is back starting over, you know. I don't see any other way to live.
No, that is the only way. Even like with vacations, we're so like spur of the moment. We're like, okay, let's do a vacation in a couple of weeks. Let's go. Let's book it. Because we can't book so far out in advance because we are always going. It's let's go. What's next? What are we doing? Where are we going? You know, what projects are we going to start now? So we are spur of the moment, but I think it makes it exciting, and it makes it, you're not doing the same thing ever twice. Literally, you're just
Yep.
always going. You're not stuck in a box. Like, there's so many people just, they get up at 7 a.m., they have their routine, they go to work, they come home, they get undressed, shower, sit in front of the TV for a couple hours, and then go to bed and start all over. That's not our life. Our life is, we're up at 4:35 a.m. every morning. We're going, we're what's on the schedule for today. And, and we put our head down on the pillow at midnight because we're going. We're just so excited to just keep going because we know that the things we're doing are making ourselves better and making, other people better, and really just showing people how to succeed in this crazy place that we call life right now, because this world is definitely wacky.
But we'll be laying in bed and she'll tap me and she'll say, oh, make sure you do this tomorrow. Make sure you remember to do this tomorrow. And I'm like, why are you telling me that now? She's like, because they need to get it out of my head. I said, yeah, but now you put it in my head. So now I got to get up and fucking write it down to make sure I remember it. But yeah, I mean, that goes on all night sometimes. Like, it's just, did you do that? Remember to do that? Remember to do that? I'm like, okay, I got it.
I have to do that too with my wife. I'm like, remind me this tomorrow. I'm like, don't tell me now. Like,
and then you say, hey, do you remember what you had to tell me for today? And
yeah,
he's like,
no, exactly. But this, I do the same exact thing. It's funny you said that too. Like, even with vacations, like, I don't know that I've like booked a plane ticket even like in less than like a week before I left. Like, it always is like spur of the moment, in the moment. But I also think that it is. Yeah, it is. I think that's also, though, that's like entrepreneurship scheduling. It's like that's how we have to operate, right? Like, it's like, oh, you got to make sure everything's set up, ducks are in a row, and things like that before. It's not like you don't call the boss, right? Put in your time at HR. It's like, had a big month.
Nope.
Gonna go on a trip. that's
yep,
it.
Exactly.
That's it. We'll do that even just going to the store. Like, we'll go to the store, and the store could be 1.5 miles from our house, and we'll literally stop like 40 other places on the way just home, and spend a whole day out of just going to that one store. we'll end up at the beach. We'll end up over here. We'll end up over there. We'll end up this one. You know what I mean? So we just don't settle down. Like, we just keep moving with stuff. And even if we go like somewhere and she says we got to stop doing this, we always say this every day. We get in the car, we laugh, but we'll go somewhere and we'll look at, I don't know, say a menu. They should probably change that to this over here, or you would make this place really good if they did this and this and this. And I'm like, all right, it's not our business. We don't. They're doing fine.
That's awesome. That's funny.
That's every day. We always catch ourselves afterwards. We laugh about it.
So I think I wanted to circle back to this, your guys' coaching program, and I think that after people get to know you from just this hour we spent together, what they can learn just from a couple that has been through it all, raised 2 children, almost lost everything, or virtually did lose everything. Yeah. Been able to rise back up, works together, trains together, does everything together. When you're looking for, like, when you're looking for a certain type of client, the hunger level, the drive that they have, what's ideal to you?
You want to go? You want to take that one? That right there, even just those 2 things is what makes it. So if you show me your heart, and if you show me what I looked at in the mirror and I see that in you, we could create a beast. We could create a monster. We could make you bulletproof. I'm confident of that because we did it. We both looked in the mirror at one point, and sometimes we still do. But I mean, we looked in the mirror at that one point and didn't even know who that was in front of me. And people go through that all the time. They just don't know how to ask for the help. And that's the scariest part, when you don't know where to go and you wake up every day looking at that person. So if you have the heart, and if you have that desire that you're like, now it needs to happen, we're here to help you. I mean, we could, I'm confident that we could bring you to where you want to go in a manner that you will look in the mirror every day and think you're looking at Brad Pitt or The Rock. You know what I mean? Like I'm confident you could do that. You just need to give me your heart. You need to give me that desire, and that level needs to outweigh where you were. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
The point where the fear of staying the same outweighs the fear of change.
Yeah, because there's people that, like she said, will go through their life and it's comfortable. And that's the scariest part to be. And that's where we were. We were living at a level of comfort. So when it was that point where we lost everything, it wasn't hard to lose everything. It was very easy to lose everything because we were right here. We were just where everybody else was, or a lot of people, I should say. So one wrong turn and you're hitting a wall or you're going off a cliff. You need to steadily keep climbing that mountain. You need to keep going up. So if you fall a little bit, you're only going to fall right here, not right here.
Yep.
So you need to realize that, and you need to make that a part of what you want to do. I could get better, but no, there shouldn't be a but. There should not be a but. Or we hear a lot, I want to move there in 5 years, or I want to do this and then, but no, man, just fucking pack our bags like we did and left. Just go.
Yeah.
What's the worst that could happen? You could fix that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, 100%.
But that's what we look for. We look for that. I mean, if you have a heart and if you have, and honesty, don't fucking lie to me. I hate that. But if you have a heart, and you're not lying,
Right.
and you're being honest with us and yourself, then yeah, we could do some really cool stuff, man.
I love that. Biting the bullet and taking the first leap is that's the hardest part. And then after that, it's like, the next risk you take, the next commitment you make, it becomes easier and easier as you go. I love it. This was really fun, guys.
This was awesome.
This was awesome.
We'll do these more often. And if you guys like what you heard, make sure you shoot us a comment, share this out, press like, and make sure you subscribe. And we'll put all of Chris and Donna's contact information down at the bottom so you guys can reach out to them. And appreciate your time, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the Wolves Only podcast powered by JWX.
Thank you, guys.